please.
Just in time. It's quite beautiful. I love that.
Tēnā rā koutou katoa. I'll get the Rainbow Communities panel to introduce themselves, but I just want to acknowledge the co-chairs, Jules Redford-Popard and John Kingi. Tēnā rā koutou katoa, and our lead officer and deputy. Kia ora, and I'll just leave it up to you.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you, Deputy Chair, Councillor Alfilipaina and committee members. It's for this opportunity to present our work plan today. It's a real pleasure to be here today, particularly with the Pacific panel and some members of the ethnic panel, and our newest panel member, Phoenix, who's in a bit. As Al said, my name's Jules Redford-Popard, and this is my colleague, John Kingi, and we are the co-chairs of the panel. And we're really proud now to have 2 years under our belt as the newest panel, not so new anymore, we can't really use that. But we'd like to begin, because we want to take the opportunity, just to share a few highlights with you. It's been really inspirational, I think, to realise the potential of genuine diversity by bringing together 11 panel members across diverse sexuality and gender identities. And whilst it's not always smooth, and sometimes it's not even easy, the outcomes that I think we've reached when we work for common goals across diversity is profoundly rich. Other highlights, recent highlights, include the all-gender toilet signage in council properties in the central city. And this allows people who are often invisible in our communities to be seen and to be safe. And we really thank Auckland Council and you for your leadership on this across local government. The panel's authored engagement guidelines for Council to inform how we effectively work with rainbow communities, and we're already in the process of our first review. We've engaged with numerous Council staff, government agencies, including recently corrections and the police, and we've been given an opportunity by the police to influence training for new recruits. We're extremely excited about that. And of course, really importantly, directly with our own communities. We've provided strategic advice on council plans, including the refresh and the Auckland plan, and others at a more operational level, including seeing rainbow communities included in the homelessness strategy for the first time. A really important inclusion, as we believe up to 25% of young people are told to leave home when they share their sexual and gender identities with their families. And our focus of the last 2 months has been on understanding what's important to our communities. And John's going to share our work plan priorities and discuss the report we commissioned, which we understand has been made available to you.
Thanks, Jules. Kia ora koutou katoa. Mr Deputy Chair and councillors, members of the committee, it's a real pleasure to be here this morning to share with you some of the priorities for our work program. The priorities that inform our program came about as a direct result of an engagement process that we contracted Sissy Rock, formerly a council staff member, to engage with, and she led a team of committed and engaged rainbow community members, H. McArdle, Sam Orchard and Tony Duda. And over the past 2 months, they have worked with the panel, Sissy and her team, to engage with over 200 members of our rainbow communities across Auckland. And they've developed the 3 questions report, which I believe is available in your papers. Those findings and the recommendations and priorities that came out of that report have guided our priorities in our work program. The engagement process involved a campaign that Sissy led, and we believe that there's a video that we're about to play. So that video sort of launched the campaign, and we thought we'd show that to you now.
This is Auckland. This is a rainbow. These are some rainbow Aucklanders. This is Auckland Council's Rainbow Communities Advisory Panel.
We are creating a picture of Auckland's rainbow communities,
where we are strong and flourishing,
where our challenges are.
and where we need some support.
We are a huge community with a range of voices, experiences, identities and abilities.
And we all have different cultures, ideas, values and dreams. And we want to hear from you. We are asking every Rainbow Aucklander just 3 questions.
What are your dreams for Auckland?
How can Council help achieve this?
If you could change one thing about Auckland tomorrow, what would it be?
This is you. This is you clicking on the website or sharing the video.
Thank you.
Ngā mihi.
So that video was created by Sissy and her team, so it was completely created and produced by members of our communities. And alongside that video, we had a survey, a website, engagement hui, and also we provided an opportunity for members of our communities to run their own huis in small groups, and we would provide them with some financial support to run those hui. And we found that that was a really unique and collaborative way to engage with our communities. We received the finalised report very recently, which you now have, and the panel out of that report resolved to prioritise 3 of the themes for the current year. So firstly, a safer Auckland for our communities. Secondly, affordability and security of housing. And finally, rainbow-friendly spaces, events and venues. These priorities, we hope, will help the Council plan and design a safer environment for our communities to maximise their daily lives and activities. The priorities are obviously not only the purview of Council, however, and will require effective coordination with central government agencies to collaborate on these important social issues. Homelessness, for example, which I think is a major issue at the moment, is a severe issue for our communities, particularly young and transgender members of our communities. And also mental health, where rainbow young people and rainbow people in general are more likely to self-harm and to suffer mental health-related injuries. The panel supports and will seek to advise the governing body and the committees on the Council's approach to these important agendas, and also to collaborate with initiatives with central government where appropriate. Outside of the priorities, the work plan also outlines the major areas that the panel will offer its input through the Auckland Plan refresh and long-term plan consultation process. We know that our role is to advise, and that can sometimes be difficult for people who are community advocates, not to just sort of go out there and wave the banner. But we are committed to engaging in a collaborative approach to work with you to provide a broad range of relevant advice. I just wanted to mention finally that the report identified not just the key priorities that we've outlined in our work program, but also several things across a range of areas, from housing to transport and healthcare, safety and visibility. And as I said, the 3 areas that we've prioritised for the current plan are only some of those. And while the report was initially just meant to be an internal document that informed our engagement process for the work program, we've actually come to realise that the document can provide a voice for our communities much more broadly than that. And we hope and envisage that the report will actually be released publicly to the wider community, and that in that way it can act as a mechanism in and of itself to drive change for the people that we represent. So now Jules, I think, is going to provide a summation of some of the challenges. Kia ora.
The panel is excited about the rest of the term and what Auckland Council can achieve with rainbow communities and the panel. And as John said, we also face some challenges in getting really tangible quality outcomes for our communities, and we want to share just 3 of those with you. The first is that we have a chronic underfunding of rainbow organisations. Most rainbow organisations, not-for-profits, including Auckland-based Rainbow Youth and Outline, receive no contractual central government funding. And we really need council coordination with central government to ensure these vital agencies can function and support rainbow communities. Secondly, it is in the shadows that discrimination, stigma and violence thrive. Auckland Council has raised the visibility of our community significantly, and we need this to continue. Rainbow communities must be visible in council strategies, and especially, we believe, in the really strategic ones, like the Auckland Plan. We want and need to be in the sunshine. And our third challenge, and Ralph talked about this a little bit, is to ensure that the advice of our panel is meaningful and useful, both for council and for rainbow communities. We are conscious of ensuring we always give really high quality advice, but we want to avoid the risk of turning into a focus group. And this is an area I think we can do more work on. And lastly, we want to acknowledge the incredible support and advocacy that's wrapped around this panel. Councillor Casey, Councillor Hill, the council team, Austin Kim, James Hassel, Kalinda and Liz Enor. They are passionate, they are super talented group to be working with. And we're really looking forward to implementing this work programme during this term, and we thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. Kia ora.
Tēnā kōrua. Just going to head to James and Liz, just if there's anything further you wish to say. I'm then going to invite Councillor Hills as the Council for the Rainbow Communities Advisory Panel to say a few words. Then I'm going to open it up for questions.
I have nothing to add. They've provided a very good summary of what the panel's trying to achieve. The one thing I would emphasise, though, is that the panel is focused on providing advice to the council as a whole. They're very clear about that, and they welcome the opportunity to engage at every opportunity with anything that's likely to impact on the rainbow community as a whole.
Kia ora, James. Liz.
Through the chair, Councillor Alf. Yeah, I agree exactly what James said. I concur with what Jules and John were saying, and it's a really amazing opportunity to be involved as Deputy Lead Officer for the panel, and especially as a member of the rainbow community myself. So, thank you.
Awesome.
Kia ora.
Okay. Councillor Hills.
Kia ora.
Just opening comments.
Yeah, kia ora, Deputy Chair. Thank you so much for the great presentation. I've really enjoyed the last year so far working with you all, and I think especially the consultation document and what's come out from it, most of it is around how we can make our services better for everyone, but obviously as the whole purpose of the advisory panels is to get the information from more vulnerable communities or people that might be adversely affected by things such as not being visible on forms, not having things to fill out, feeling discrimination when you jump on a bus, or anything throughout our council services. So it's been an eye-opener even for me, working in the youth sector and working with Rainbow Youth a lot. I thought I knew everything, but actually hearing lots from the different parts of our community, I've been hearing a lot more how we need to make Auckland more inclusive, and just, a lot of it is quite simple stuff that is just, making the city a lot better, and a lot of it is not about cost either, so it's fantastic. But I just want to say thank you for being passionate and making sure you're getting people around the table. I think although not so council related, the corrections conversation was quite an amazing one, but also maybe a model for some of council's work, what they're doing in corrections right now and how they've changed their model to be much more inclusive, and they're seeing really positive outcomes out of that. We could take that on in some of our departments too. So thank you so much.
Look, I'm going to start off the questioning and then it'll be Member Blair. But look, congratulations around the community engagement project. Now, my question is, what you've developed here with the staff, obviously, and the rainbow community, the template, and we were mentioning templates earlier, the template that have you got any issues with the other advisory panels sort of looking at it and saying, hey, look, we could actually use this to develop what you have with this project? So the question is to our co-chairs, what your thoughts are in regards to that.
Oh, anyone and everyone is very welcome to use that, and we can talk to them, but also we can put them in touch with the group that came up with that. Yeah, we'd love to go one path.
Awesome. Member Blair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tēnā koutou katoa, kia koutou. Tō rōpū e whakarite ana tēnei kaupapa. And I'm here to kia koutou. Just like to say that I must like to acknowledge the presentation and congratulate all the people that have worked behind the scenes and and would like to acknowledge you for that. In particular, the affordable housing seems to be a very common theme amongst all groups. Safety and transport, or that you're facing and safety in the public, so in particular. And I just had a kind of a query on whether identity and being Māori, if you've done any work around that and how, I don't know, whether they have isolation from their marae or hapu, and whether that factors into any of the issues that you're finding with regard to Māori in the Rainbow communities?
Tēnā koe. We've definitely, we find, particularly being Auckland-based, that we're dealing with urban Māori who traditionally have been sort of disassociated from their papakanga. So, I mean, within our communities, we've recently, myself and Dave Hutty are new members to the panel this year, and we were specifically selected as Māori Takatapui members for the panel. So for us, it's sort of been getting our feet under the table, so to speak. But one of the conversations that we're wanting to engage in is what our relationship with the treaty looks like, and what that flows on to in terms of how we engage with Māori within our communities. It can be very difficult, primarily because when we're talking about rainbow communities, you're talking about intersectional identities. So, you know, it really depends on how people themselves present, whether they identify more within the Māori sphere, whether they identify within the rainbow sphere, and how the two sort of intersect. But I think that's a conversation that our panel is definitely looking to expand, not just within a council setting, but also as a general conversation within the community as a whole.
Well, the invitation's open to come to the IMSB at our meetings to present if you so wish. Thank you. One
of the kind of general issues that rainbow communities face is a real lack of research, and particularly Takatapui. Yeah, there's a real call, both central and local governments, to get more research, and not just for the sake of researching, because often resource follows that, and so that is a beginning point for us. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Okay, look, I just from myself, I make no apologies for the time we've spent talking to our advisory panels, because they come to us every 6 months. So it is important that we basically acknowledge and at least honour you with having the time that we have for this particular part of our agenda. So make no apologies. I'm going to ask Councillor Casey, who is the liaison councillor for all the advisory panels. She will finish off this particular item. And Councillor Casey, if you would move the recommendation, and Councillor Hills, if you could second that, and then I will put the recommendation. So Councillor Casey, and then we'll put the recommendations. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you to the Chair and to my fellow councillors for giving the panels chance to have dialogue, because it's a dialogue that's really important. It's putting a face to the names. We've got a fantastic diversity policy, but our panels are diversity in action. You can hear that today. They are competent, they have lived experience and networks within their demographic group. That's what we as councillors need. We need you. And so this is a great forum to just build that relationship. Just like to say thank you to not just the chairs and the deputy chairs who are here today, that's Ralph and Lingy and Jules and John, but also to the staff who have given up their time readily. In this case, it's James and Liz and Louise and Nathaniel for the Pacifica panel. Not just that, though, it's a group effort. The councillors, Richard and Alfie, who are the liaison between the council and the panel, play a really important role. So thank you also to you to give up your evenings to do this. And the admin staff who keep the wheels turning over with the emails. Again, this is done on top of the jobs that they do for the council. So what you have here is a committed group. That's why it's successful. It's people like this who have the smarts, who have the lived experience, the network, and the fun, which is not a lot of what we get here at council. But if you ever take the chance to go along to one of the panels, you'll see it's really enjoyable. It's a giving back to the community. So I thank you for that. And just to say a couple of things about the impact already that's been made by these panels is extraordinary. In particular, the Rainbow panel, you're here before us today. The language we use has changed because of you. We're about to see all-gender toilets throughout the building up at Albert Street and over in Bledisloe, thanks to you and your advocacy. I know that you're about to build up a photo bank of pictures. Absolutely essential. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Thank you for what you do. And for the Pacific panel, I long for greater Pacific participation in our civic events. That's one of the best things you can do, is get your people here making decisions. Thank you for what you do. So just to say, that's it. I love my job doing this, the panels. I love the job. I get to go to all of them.
Thank you, Chief Liaison. And I will now put the recommendation that's been moved and seconded and again reinforce the thanks that have been made to all our advisory panels. So all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you so much. Item 10, I'll move